Evening Prime is brought to you by Misho, Amrutanjan Fruitnik Electro Plus, Dehydrate Feel Alive, TVS Jupiter 125, Zada Se Bhi Zada, Flipkart, India ka fashion capital, Everyday Spices, Leah Agarbatti, TVS Apache RTR, and Himalaya Purifying Neem Face Wash, Pimple Free, Healthy Skin ka expert.
Shadow of terror in Arunachal Pradesh's TCL region. Suspected NSC and KYA militants abduct another Gaubura in Longding district. Political parties start gearing up for upcoming 2023 Meghalaya Assembly elections. TMC holds mega rally in North Shillong. Mukul Sangma slams Conrad Sangma government over handling of corruption issue. Chief Minister Nephew Rio-led core committee on Naga issue meets NSCNIM leadership. NSCNIM General Secretary Thwingaleng Muiva skips meeting. Key development ahead of NSCNIM's emergency National Assembly. India and Bangladesh vow to fight radical elements together. Bangladesh Foreign Minister assures full support to India in fight against jihadis. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma acknowledges role of Bangladesh government. Third edition of two-day-long Nadi River Conference kicks off in Guwahati. Focus on increased cooperation amongst ASEAN countries to harness shared resources. And big breakthrough for Assam police. 2 minors abducted from Guwahati, rescued in Bihar. 1 detained in connection with case. Further probe into matter underway. Very warm welcome to all our viewers. You're watching Evening Prime. I'm Ronak, and we start the bulletin with the big story this evening. All eyes are set on the crucial meeting between the core committee on the Naga issue, led by Chief Minister Nephew Rio, and the NSCNIM leadership at the Chumukedima police complex. Highly placed sources have informed Northeast Live that the NSCNIM delegation will be led by V.S. Atim. However, NSCNIM General Secretary Thwingaleng Muiva has skipped the meeting. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Nephew Rio is being accompanied by UDA Chairman T.R. Zeliang, Azo Nenu, Neba Kronu, G. Kaito I, and a few other core committee members. Although leaders are being tight-lipped over the development, the meeting assumes significance since it comes just ahead of the NSCNIM Emergency National Assembly, which is slated to take place on the 31st of May at Camp Hebron. So viewers, indeed a big development relating to the Naga peace talks, as all eyes are now set on the crucial meeting between the core committee on Naga issue, led by Chief Minister Nephew Rio, and the NSCNIM leadership at the Chumukedima police complex. Highly placed sources informed Northeast Live that the NSCNIM delegation will be led by V.S. Atim. However, NSCNIM General Secretary Thwingaleng Muiva is not present at the meeting. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Nephew Rio is being accompanied by UDA Chairman T.R. Zeliang, Azo Nenu, Neba Kronu, G. Kaito I, and a few other core committee members. Although leaders are being tight-lipped over the development, the meeting assumes significance since it comes just ahead of the NSCNIM Emergency National Assembly, which is slated to take place on the 31st of May at Camp Hebron. And on to another big story now. The situation in Arunachal Pradesh's TCL region is only getting grimmer, with instances of insurgency-related activities like abductions getting more frequent by the day. In yet another such incident, insurgents kidnapped the Gaubura, or the village head of Chatong village in eastern Arunachal's Longding district on Friday. As per police sources, Gaubura Tingfo Luklam was kidnapped by a heavily armed group of NSC and KYA insurgents from Longkho village under Longding police station. Police said that the Gaubura was abducted after he had gone to Longkho from his native village of Chatong, along with Ngamwang Wangkham, who is the chief of the village, after the duo was summoned by the NSC and KYA on the pretext of holding some discussions. After these said discussions, the village chief was allowed to go. However, the Gaubura was abducted and has now reportedly been taken to a hideout of the outfit in Myanmar through Mon district of Nagaland. On the other hand, the chief was allowed to go, but with a stern warning from the militants to clear the so-called house and indent taxes at the earliest, or the Gaubura will be eliminated. Security forces have launched a search operation but have found little success so far. It may be mentioned here that this is the 11th case of abduction by militants in the TCL belt in the last 2 months. Earlier, a Gram Panchayat chairman or GPC was also abducted on the 20th of May from Tirap district and was then subsequently released on the 25th of May with a warning to clear all pending dues at the earliest or be killed. In most of these cases, ransom has been the main reason behind the abductions. Although security forces are trying hard to curb insurgent-related activities in the region by launching a series of counter-insurgency operations, militant groups too have stepped up their activities. Yes, viewers, another big development coming in at this point in time. The situation in the frontier state of Arunachal Pradesh's TCL region is only getting grimmer, with instances of insurgency-related activities like abductions getting more frequent by the day. In yet another such incident, insurgents kidnapped the Gaubura or village head of Chatong village in eastern Arunachal's Longding district on Friday. As per police sources, Gaubura Tingfo Luklam was kidnapped by a heavily armed group of NSCN KYA insurgents from Longkho village under Longding police station. Police said that the Gaubura was abducted after he had gone to Longkho from his native village of Chatong, along with Ngamwang Wangkham, who is the chief of the village, after the duo was summoned by the NSCN KYA on the pretext of holding some discussions. After these said discussions got over, the village chief was allowed to let go, but the Gaubura was abducted and has reportedly been taken to a hideout of the outfit in Myanmar through Mon district of Nagaland. On the other hand, the chief was allowed to go, but with a stern warning from the militants to clear the so-called house and indent taxes at the earliest, or the Gaubura will be eliminated. Security forces have launched a search operation but have found little success so far. It may be mentioned here that this is the 11th case of abduction by militants in the TCL belt in the last 2 months. Earlier, a Gram Panchayat chairman or GPC was also abducted on the 20th of May from Tirap district and then was subsequently released on the 25th of May with a warning to clear all pending dues at the earliest or be killed. In most of these cases, ransom has been the main reason behind the abductions. Although security forces are trying hard to curb insurgent-related activities in the region by launching a series of counter-insurgency operations, militant groups too have stepped up their activities. Shifting focus now, the third edition of the Nadi Talk, an international river conference to articulate a collective vision of cooperation in the Bay of Bengal and the Southeast Asian region, is being held in Guwahati. The third edition of the conclave, termed Nadi, or Natural Allies in Development and Interdependence, is hosted by Shillong-based think tank Asian Confluence in partnership with the Union External Affairs Ministry, the Assam government's Act East policy of the Affairs Department, the Northeastern Council, and other partners. The two-day event was inaugurated by Union External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, with dignitaries including the Bangladesh Foreign Minister A.K. Abdul Momen, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma, and High Commissioners and Ambassadors from the various countries. Speaking at the event, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar said that Nadi is a proper platform for countries to initiate dialogue and head for bigger cooperation, amongst others.
Dear friends, it is a great pleasure to be back in Guwahati for the Nadi conference. And I must congratulate the organizers, Asian Confluence, who, in partnership with the Government of Assam and the Policy Planning Division of the Ministry of External Affairs, have put together what promises to be a very focused and stimulating gathering. Conversations help to create change, and thoughts about confluences certainly encourage plans of cooperation. So there is a lot before all of you to ponder. As many of the speakers have said before me, Nadi is life, and it is but natural that human civilizations all developed on the banks of rivers. And from those habitations arose commerce, which reflected the exchanges of goods and services between them. For that to happen, distances needed to be traversed as smoothly and securely as possible, and therein lay the importance of connectivity to history. It was the pathways that facilitated mobility and migration which determines its course. Who used them, who dominated them, who leveraged them, who blocked them. These have been the ups and downs of societies and nations over time. Nadi itself was often the connectivity. And today, as we gather alongside one of the great rivers that courses our land, how to connect peoples more effectively is an appropriate subject to discuss. The extent of success in doing so will determine our prosperity, and we carry forward our deliberations bearing in mind.
And speaking at the conclave, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma talked of the natural resources of the state, including the state's vast forest cover. Chief Minister Sharma said that the various resources which Assam has to offer can help contribute to the country's material strength.
Another important contributor to the economy of the state is forest. There are a large variety of forest types from the evergreen rainforest to riparian forest and freshwater mangroves. The state has 312 notified reserve forests, 5 national parks, and 20 wildlife sanctuaries. The forest cover, including tree outside the forest, in Assam is more than 37% of the total geographical area of the state. Assam, that falls in the eastern Himalayan biodiversity region, is one of the biodiversity hotspots in the country. We have 293 orchid species, which is 1/4 of the country's orchid diversity, 42 species of bamboos, 14 species of can, beside multitude of aquatic and forest flora. There are 165 species of endemic flora of Assam, and 284 species of plants are critically endangered. Assam's biggest contribution to the world is tea. Assam produces some of the finest and most expensive teas in the world. The petroleum industry in India started at Dikko in Assam, and we have 4 refineries and significant petroleum as well as natural gas reserves. Assam today is home to a well-established petrochemicals industry. The industry today could be used to produce green plastic that are in huge demand in developed markets. The Singaporean ambassador has already shown interest in exploring the possibility of a technological collaboration to examine the possibility of collaboration in this regard.
Well, the event's country partner is the Bangladesh Foundation for Regional Studies, and knowledge partners include the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IIT Guwahati, and Guwahati University. As Northeast India and Assam remain at the center of activity, on the 29th of May, which is tomorrow, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will deliver the valedictory address. The conference will concentrate on the region south of the Himalayas, from the Ganga to the Brahmaputra, as a confluence of river basins with common challenges that necessitate close cooperation across political boundaries. Many leaders and experts are expected to arrive in Guwahati for the conclave. And meanwhile, talking on the sidelines of the conclave, Bangladesh Foreign Minister A.K. Abdul Momen talked about the apprehensions over China building a dam over the Brahmaputra in Tibet. Talking on the matter, Momen said that while making such dams, the interests of the residents of the river basins and the catchment areas must be kept in mind.
Country, the lifeline of Bangladesh, which is Brahmaputra here, Siang in Arunachal Pradesh, flows from China, and China is building the biggest dam on this river. So, how concerned?
So we have been arguing that in developing these dams and other things, the resident of the catchment should be involved in it, and the interest of all the residents of that particular river basin uh, should be, upheld. This is upheld because this is most important. In my speech also I said that we have to work together in cooperation and partnership, because rivers have no boundaries, they have no faith, they have no religion, they flow all across. And in Bengal, we name the rivers with beautiful names. You see, because they are alive. Rivers are alive. So here we must not mess up with it. With big projects, when you do those, we have to be very careful about the environmental impact. We have to be careful about the life of the people around, because rivers is all life.
On to another big story now. India and Bangladesh will jointly tackle terror elements, particularly those which are operating from the soil of the neighboring nation. Bangladesh government has assured that it will help India in busting the jihadi network. Attending the third edition of the Nadi Conclave in Guwahati, Bangladesh Foreign Minister A.K. Abdul Momen emphasized that every nation must work together to take care of those trying to inflict harm to the society. The Bangladesh Foreign Minister also welcomed the Assam government's crackdown that has led to the arrest of many persons having links with jihadi groups.
It was banned in Bangladesh. So has there been any discussion?
There are some people in Assam.
There have been arrests made with
16 persons has been arrested, including a Bangladesh national also. There's a
Ansarul Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. They have a link with the Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda Indian.
There are many pockets always there, and that's a good news that you have arrested them, and this is a good news, because always you find some discontented individuals want to inflict harm, and we should take care of them, and we should work together to identify them and put them under under questioning.
According to intelligence reports, many of them have fled and taken shelter in Bangladesh. Will Bangladesh government help?
No, we don't know. We always work with Indian government. Yes, one big guy, we gave it to India. We handed over to India. You see, so that's not a big deal. We will be working with India.
Meanwhile, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma, while speaking at the River Conclave in Guwahati, thanked the Bangladesh government for assisting in cracking the whip against jihadi elements. Chief Minister Sharma also expressed his gratitude to Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, for helping India in its fight against terror. Sharma added that it would not have been possible for Assam police to nab persons with jihadi links, which he believes is a turning point in the history of the state.
We are immensely grateful to the government of Bangladesh and our beloved Prime Minister of Bangladesh for this protocol. We'd also like to record our deep gratitude to the people of Bangladesh, because without their help, we would not have able to fight the militants in Assam. And I think that was the turning point in our history.
And shifting focus to another big story now, political parties have started gearing up for the upcoming 2023 assembly elections in Meghalaya. Although the NPP and its constituents have not visibly kicked off their campaign, the TMC, meanwhile, is on a war footing mode to consolidate its position ahead of the poll battle. As seen by many that TMC has its influence only in Garo Hills, the opposition party today held a massive rally in North Shillong in an apparent show of strength. The Trinamool Congress leader Mukul Sangma addressed a massive gathering at the Wahindo Community Hall and highlighted the party's agenda. Besides, Mukul Sangma is hopeful that leaders from other parties expressing solidarity to the TMC is a welcome sign.
We are making a humble beginning, and for that matter, I must, at the very outset, congratulate the whole team. And they have put quite a sincere effort to have this program. And it's a privilege to be able to have so many leaders from across different political parties coming and joining this new platform. And this is reflective of what is happening at the grassroots level. And we are very happy to connect with all the leaders coming from all walks of life, from every parts of 17 North Shillong Assembly constituency. And we look forward how we can further leverage upon this to connect to rest of the constituencies.
Meanwhile, Mukul Sangma also came out all guns blazing against the Conrad Sangma-led government for allegedly not taking cognizance of the irregularities and corruption.
You have to understand one thing. What is the responsibility of the authorities? And when we are talking about responsibilities of authorities pertaining to certain issues which are again covered by the mandate of certain law, any offense which is cognizable under the relevant provision of the law. What is the meaning of cognizable offense? You have to ask them. Cognizable offense is cognizable offense. The government has to take cognizance. The authorities will have to take cognizance. Denying to take cognizance of these instances of irregularities and instances of alleged corruption, that means they are acting as an accused. You get my point? That means by default, they are telling the people they themselves are the accused. That's why they want to defend. It must stop, it must end, because we want to ensure that the state is not subjected to that kind of disastrous future. And that is the reason why we must say that corruption must end. Today, you have seen, the collective endeavor, sincere commitment coming from people from all walks of life, sending a message which is loud and clear that there must be a collective effort from all political parties, that we promise the people of the state that Meghalaya should be free from corruption. The people in authority, the government, has been acting as accused.
And well, Nongpo MLA Meral Bond CM has said that the agreement between Assam and Meghalaya on the interstate border issue is not something set in stone. Talking on the issue, Meral Bond CM said that the agreement between both the states can be revisited and the issues of certain villages and people can be taken into account. CM said that steps to rectify certain issues can be taken before the proposal is sent to the parliament for their approval. Noteworthy here is that the Nongpo MLA was a member of one of the 3 regional committees constituted by the government for the resolution of the border issue. He said that the areas and settlements that should be within the boundary of Meghalaya have to be in tune with the culture and customs of the state. With regards to certain villages raising objections over the agreement, CM said that everyone must be taken on board before a final decision is taken. Noteworthy here is that CM's comments come in just a few days after Chief Minister Conrad Sangma stated that no form revision would be made to the border agreement between Assam and Meghalaya.
I have nothing to say against the MOU because this MOU has been signed at the level of the Chief Minister, not at the level of the regional committee. This you have to understand. Being the member of the regional committee, what we have submitted to the government is that the land which belong to Meghalaya, as per documentary proof by the district council, by the traditional heads, being the Hima or the Raj or the Shno, it has to be with Meghalaya, especially keeping in mind the settlement. We have to see the inhabitant, the settlement within there also. It has to be in line with the culture, with the tradition of the people of Meghalaya, which means Khasi, Gentia, Garo, and other friends that we have here living together here. So my opinion is that to go ahead and to take everybody on board, to take everybody along before we take any final decision, because we have to understand this is the proposal or the MOU signed, this will go to the parliament. It is the parliament who will have a final say, whether to accept this or to revisit this. So there is a plenty of scope to redefine, to revisit, to have more space for the stakeholder. And we have to consider all this. We should not go blindly. I'm not saying that all this while the government is going blindly. It's not that. The government is serious, but nobody is perfect. That's why I'm telling that we have to take everybody on board. If there is concern that the government has left over, it has to be looked into, revisit, and take everybody on board and take a decision and have a talk with the Union Home Ministry before it will be placed in Parliament, before any decision will be taken. That is final. So there is plenty of scope to recorrect anything has to be done at the ground.
It's time for a short break now. More news and updates to follow on at the other side. Stay tuned. Northeast Live, the most viewed news channel in the region. On YouTube, unmatched coverage.
চাওচোন কোন নতুন খেলুৱৈ আহিছে
বুজাই দিম আজি
মৰমেৰে বুজাম লাহে লাহে কৰি
তেওঁ আমাৰ মাত কথাই কয়
এয়াতো আমাৰেই মাত কথা যদি এক তেন্তে হৃদয়ো এক হোৱা উচিত বিমল কক ভাষা কেচিৰি
সাধারণ স্টিল এনেকৈ পরে মাইথন স্টিল এনেকৈ পরে ধমকৈ
आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में बड़े छोटे साथ आओ ऐश करो नाचो गाओ मस्ती में आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में
আনন্দৰ উৎসৱ বিহু আহিছে ঘৰে ঘৰে আহাৰৰ সোৱাদ জাগিছে Everyday Spices wishes you a happy Bihu.
Everyday Spice.
Coming up at 8 p.m. Sanjeev Sanyal, top economist and member, Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, speaks to Syed Zarir Hussain. Only on Northeast Live. Your station, your voice.
চাওচোন কোন নতুন খেলুৱৈ আহিছে
বুজাই দিম আজি
মৰমেৰে বুজাম লাহে লাহে কৰি
তেওঁ আমাৰ মাত কথাই কয়
এয়াতো আমাৰেই মাত কথা যদি এক তেন্তে হৃদয়ো এক হোৱা উচিত বিমল কক ভাষা কেচিৰি
আনন্দৰ উৎসৱ বিহু আহিছে ঘৰে ঘৰে আহাৰৰ সোৱাদ জাগিছে Everyday Spices wishes you a happy Bihu.
Everyday Spice.
आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में बड़े छोटे साथ आओ ऐश करो नाचो गाओ मस्ती में आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में
Oh. বাহ
অভূতপূর্ব ভ্যারাইটি অপূর্ব মূল্য ডাউনলোড মিশো
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching Evening Prime. Before we continue, let's have another look at the headlines. Shadow of terror in Arunachal Pradesh's TCL region. Suspected NSC and KYA militants abduct another Gaubura in Longding district. Political parties start gearing up for upcoming 2023 Meghalaya Assembly elections. DMC holds a mega rally in North Shillong. Mukul Sangma slams Conrad Sangma government over handling of corruption issue. Chief Minister Nephew Rio-led core committee on Naga issue meets NSCN-IM leadership. NSCN-IM General Secretary Twingaleng Muiva skips meeting. Key development ahead of NSCN-IM's emergency National Assembly. India and Bangladesh vow to fight radical elements together. Bangladesh Foreign Minister assures full support to India in fight against jihadis. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma acknowledges role of Bangladesh government. Third edition of two-day-long Nadi River Conference kicks off in Guwahati, focused on increased cooperation amongst ASEAN nations to harness shared resources. And big breakthrough for Assam police. 2 minors abducted from Guwahati rescued in Bihar. 1 detained in connection with case. Further probe into matter underway. Welcome back, viewers, and on to another big story now. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma has issued a show-cause notice to Tea Tribes and Employment Minister Sanjay Kishan for tendering an apology to Ulfa Independent Chief Paresh Barua. The show-cause notice has been sent to Kishan asking for an explanation as to why he tendered an apology to the Ulfa Independent Chief. Noteworthy here is that Kishan had made some strong remarks against the Ulfa Independent Chief Paresh Barua on calling him a liar. To this, the Ulfa Independent issued a 24-hour ultimatum to the minister to apologize. Sanjay Kishan tendered a public apology to the Ulfa Independent on the 15th of May after the ultimatum. Let's hear now as to what Sanjay Kishan had to say against the Ulfa Independent Chief.
Paresh Barua Dangoria, অন্তৰত আঘাত হনা কোনো কথাই মই আসলতে কোৱাৰ মোৰ কোনো ধৰণৰ মোৰ সদিচ্ছা নাই। এই ব্যস্ততাৰ মাজত এনে ধৰণৰ প্ৰশ্ন এটা কৰি আসলতে মই আহ্বান জনাই আছো যে বৰ্তমান আমাৰ চৰকাৰে বা বৰ্তমান আমাৰ মুখ্যমন্ত্ৰী ডাঙৰীয়া শান্তি প্ৰক্ৰিয়াৰ দিকটো সফলভাৱে আগুৱাই লৈ যাবৰ কাৰণে প্ৰয়াস কৰিছে আৰু ময়ো অন্তৰহতে ইয়াক কামনা কৰিছো আৰু তেনেকুৱা ক্ষেত্ৰত কোনো কাৰণতে মই তেখেতৰ অন্তৰত আঘাত হানি বা এই যেটো দিক আগবাঢ়িছে ইয়াত কবাত এটা ব্যাঘাত হোৱাটো মই কোনো কাৰণতে মই কামনা কৰা নাই বা নকৰো আৰু হেইহে যদিহে ভুলবশত এনেকে ধৰণৰ কিবা বাক্য এটা মোৰ মুখৰ পৰা ওলাইছে তেতিয়াহলে ইয়াৰ কাৰণে মই ক্ষমাৰ প্ৰাৰ্থী আৰু মই নিজেও এটো যথেষ্ট দুখ অনুভৱ কৰিছো।
And on to another big story now. A solo protest by an environmental activist in Mizoram is hogging all the limelight. Van Ramchwangi, popularly known as Ruatfela Nu, was on a sit-in protest at Aizawl demanding a halt to environmental degradation caused by highway expansion and widening project undertaken by the National Highway Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited. Ruatfela Nu's main charge is that the huge quantity of soil excavated during the highway widening and construction process are being dumped on these slopes and are finding their way into a few key rivers that are choking the flow. These rivers, she says, are a source of sustenance for the people of Mizoram. Here, she highlighted that the developmental projects at the mouth of the Tlawang River has had terrible effects. And what you see on your screens are the visuals of the construction site on one side and on the other, the affected river where the water flow has been reportedly choked. And sources have said that the activist has filed RTI petitions to ascertain whether due environmental clearances were obtained before going ahead with the work by the NHIDC. In most of these cases, the RTI replies allegedly revealed that there were no clear permissions obtained. On Friday, Ruatfela sat alone, protesting in front of the Mizoram Environment, Forest and Climate Change Department office in Aizawl with placards. She handed over a memorandum to the Principal Chief Conservator of Forests, demanding a halt in construction activities in as many as 4 national highways within Mizoram. And these are NH06 Seling to Zokothor, NH102B Kefang to Manipur, NH302 Lung Lake to Tlabung, NH54 Aizawl to Tuipang. Ruatfela, in her memorandum to the PCCF, accused NHIDC of not adhering to the Environment Management Plan and said that unmonitored construction work has hit the state, including villages like Tuipui D and others. The activist, who has also drawn the attention of Mizoram Chief Minister Zoramthanga, said that NHIDC has not even replied to notices served by the Mizoram Pollution Control Board in 2021. On to another big story now. In a major sigh of relief, 2 kids who had been abducted from Guwahati have finally been rescued. As per latest inputs, the children have been found at Kishanganj in Bihar. Both were abducted by a person who pretended to be their maternal uncle. The police, meanwhile, have detained 1 person in connection to the case. A team of Hatigaon police is en route to Krishnaganj to bring back the 2 children.
ওসি স্যাৰে বহুতখিনি হেল্প কৰিলে ৰাতি তেখেতে বহুতখিনি কষ্ট কৰিলে হ্যাঁ কিষাণগঞ্জত হ্যাঁ ছাৰে কণ্টেক্ট কৰাৰ পিছত কিষাণগঞ্জত কিবা কৰি ইনফৰমেশ্যন কৰি কেনে পালে মোৰ ল'ৰাটোকো পালে মোৰ ছোৱালীটোকো পালে আৰু যোনটো ল'ৰা লৈ যাই আছিলে এই শাহৰুখ খান বুলি কেনে তাহাঁতৰে কোনোবা হয় হ্যাঁ পাৰ সেই ল'ৰাজনে কৈছে বোলে মই মামা হয় পাৰ আচলত তাৰ মামা এইটো নহয় মোৰ বাচ্চাকেইটাক মিছা কথা কৈ কেনে মানে সেই ল'ৰাটো প্লানিং বনাই কেনে মোৰ ছোৱালীটোক মামা বুলি কেনে কৈ কেনে লৈ গৈছে মানে মোৰ এই আগৰ মোৰ যোন ৱাইফৰ যোনটো বিয়া ল'ৰাটোক যোনটো লৈ গৈছিলে সেই শাহৰুখ খান সেই শাহৰুখ খানে কাকবাক পঠাইছিলে তাহাঁতে অহা নাই কিয় কাৰণে তাহাঁতে 2টা নামত অলৰেডি কেছ দিয়া আছে ইয়াতে বেলেগত থ্ৰু দি ইয়াতে পঠাইছে মোৰ ছোৱালীৰ লগত কণ্টেক্ট কৰিছে হে কণ্টেক্ট কৰি কেনে কিবা কৰি ইনষ্টাগ্ৰামত কৈছে যে তোমালোকে তাৰ লগত গুচি আহা তাৰপিছত হেঁতে ইয়াৰ পৰা ট্ৰেইনত গৈছে কিষাণগঞ্জত ছাৰে কালি ৰিকভাৰী কৰিলে নহয় ইয়াৰ পৰাতো 7টা বজাত ওলাই গৈছে বিহাৰ ৰাতিপুৱা মৰ্ণিঙত আৰ্লি মৰ্ণিঙত ওলাই গৈছে আমাৰ পুলিচ ইয়াৰ পৰা ছাৰে পঠাই দিছে ৰিকভাৰী কৰিবৰ কাৰণে
And shifting focus now, the Interministerial Central Team has arrived in Haflong, where it is inspecting the damage caused in Dima Hasao district in the recent floods. And during the visit, the team will review losses incurred in the hill district in the last few days. The team will also hold a review meeting at the Dima Hasao Deputy Commissioner's office and also make a visit to the relief camps to ascertain the conditions of the flood-affected people. Meanwhile, our colleague Swadeep Hasamsa has a report from Ground Zero. Take a look.
डिमा हासाओ में 11 तारीख से लगातार बारिश देने के बाद 18 तारीख तक बारिश रुक गया है लेकिन बहुत सारा जगह में रास्ते के साथ साथ रेलवे कम्युनिकेशन जो है वो भी डिस्टर्ब हो गया है और रिस्टोरेशन काम अभी चल रहा है तो इसके ऊपर में हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जानकारी देने के लिए इस वक्त हमारे साथ मौजूद है लमडिंग जो हिल सेक्शन का जो है DRM उन्हें जानते हैं कि अभी करंट स्टेटस कैसा है और उनका डैमेजेस लॉसेस कितना नुकसान हुआ है ये अभी तक भी हम लोग सब कहते हैं कि रेलवे कम्युनिकेशन डिस्टर्ब हो गया है लेकिन पर्टिकुलरली लोकेशन हमको असेसमेंट नहीं कर पा रहा है क्योंकि कम्युनिकेशन का काफ़ी डिस्टर्ब हो गया था तो अभी करंट सिचुएशन कैसा है और कहाँ तक आपका डैमेजेस हुआ है
रेलवे लाइन बेसिकली हमारा 80 किलोमीटर का ट्रैक लेंथ जो है माईबोंग से लेकर के अपना टचरा तक 80 किलोमीटर लाइन में 60 लोकेशन में की जगह जगह पे टूटा था जो असेसमेंट की बात है हमने 2 दिन में असेसमेंट कर ली थी एक्शन प्लान भी तय कर लिया था कि हम इसको टारगेट को कब करें 60 लोकेशन में हमारी कुछ 11 लोकेशन ऐसी हैं जो कि सिवियरली डैमेज है उनको हम क्रिटिकल लोकेशन कह सकते हैं और 30 लोकेशन ऐसी जो भारी डैमेज हुआ है उसमें 11 लोकेशन ऐसी थी जो कम डैमेज वाली थी वो हमने रिस्टोर भी कर ली है यदि फर्दर रेंज नहीं हुई तो 10 जुलाई तक हम सब लाइंस को रिस्टोर कर लेंगे और कम्युनिकेशन को बाहर कर लेंगे
तो हम कहते हैं कि जो मेजर डैमेजेस हुआ है मेजर जो सिंकिंग हुआ है कौन सा लोकेशन अगर नाम दो
सबसे मेजर जो हुआ दत्तावाजा फाइटिंग में हुआ है उसमें बेसिकली 4-5 लोकेशन ऐसी है जिनमें भी ट्रैक का करीब 250 मीटर 300 मीटर लेंथ जो नीचे ही चला गया है और उसकी जो हाइट है वो 80 मीटर 70 मीटर 80 मीटर भी है दमचरा डेटकचरा के बीच में हमारे 2 ब्रिज जिनके जो अप्रोचेस थे वो वॉश आउट हो गए हैं और जो माईबोंग और दत्तवाजा के बीच में 3 लोकेशन ऐसी है जिनमें करीब 300-350 ट्रैक लेंथ जो है वो सारी निकल गई है
ये हम सबको पता है कि असम का एकमात्र हिल स्टेशन है जो न्यू हाफलोंग रेलवे स्टेशन जो एक दो पहाड़ों के बीच में से जाते हैं और बहुत सुंदर स्टेशन है पूरे डिमा हासाओ डिस्ट्रिक्ट में। हम कह सकते हैं आसाम में ही शायद ऐसा बहुत कम ही स्टेशन होगा न्यू हाफलोंग जैसा स्टेशन बना है। उसको अभी वहाँ पे बहुत सारा पैसेंजर स्टैंडर्ड ट्रेन था, वो भी मलबे में दब गया है, और साथ ही साथ में काफी सारे इंजिन हुए वो भी अभी विफल हो गया। उसके लिए अब कैसे करने के?
2 इंजन तो पूरी तरह डैमेज हो चुके हैं और 2 और दबे हुए हैं। 4 इंजन थे, 2 में कुछ कम डैमेजेस हैं और कोचेस जो है वो उल्टे पड़ गए हैं। वो सीधे हो जाएंगे उसमें, लेकिन 2-3 कोचेस हैं डैमेज होने का खतरा है। और बेसिकली यार्ड जितना है पूरा पानी से भर गया, तो जितने सिग्नल गियर तो हमारे सारे खराब हो गए हैं। तो सिग्नल गियर हमें चेंज करना पड़ेंगे। वो तैयारी पूरी है हमारी, हमने सारा मटेरियल हमारा इकट्ठा कर लिया है। जैसे ही मलबा उड़ जाएगा उसके बाद हम सिग्नल गियर चेंज करेंगे और 15 जून तक हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि इसमें ट्रेन चलाने की, बदरपुर से हम हाफलॉन्ग पहुंच जाएं।
सेंट्रल टीम भी आया था और यहाँ का जो सारा जो जो इन डिजास्टर को जायजा देने के लिए क्या क्या बातचीत हुआ था उसमें?
नहीं, आज मीटिंग उन्हीं के साथ इसी के लिए थी कि क्या डैमेजेस हुए हैं और किस तरह से आप रिस्टोर कर रहे हैं। आपका टारगेट क्या है जो आपने आपको बताया, वही बातें हुई उनसे भी कि हमारा डैमेजेस कितना हुआ है और हम कब रिस्टोर कर रहे हैं, कैसे रिस्टोर कर रहे हैं और हमने क्या मेथोडोलॉजी ले रखी है, और वो सारी चीजें डिस्कस हुई हैं।
अप्रोक्सीमेटली कितना का लॉस हुआ होगा?
यदि मनी वैल्यू में लें आप तो इसको रेलवे को 350 करोड़ का नुकसान हुआ है, जिसमें रेस्टोरेशन शामिल होता है। हमारी कुछ जो कमर्शियल्स थे, जो अर्निंग्स थी वो इफेक्ट हुई है, इनवर्ड आउटवर्ड, और जो जो पीआरएस की और यूटीएस की अर्निंग होती है, और मैकेनिकल के लोग को, और ये और सिग्नल गियर्स है, ट्रैक जितना डैमेज हुआ है।
जैसे कि आपने सुना कि हमारे जो एडीआरएम जो साहब जो ने उन्हें विस्तार से बताया कि यहाँ का जो लॉसेस कितना हुआ, कौन सा लोकेशंस में इस तरह से जो सिंकिंग हुआ है, और पर्टिकुलर उनको रिस्टोर करने में कितना वक्त लग सकता है और कितना उनका मशीनरीज लगा हुआ है, उसका जो लेबरस है जो काम पे लगा हुआ है, इंजीनियर्स कितना लगा हुआ है, सारे जो डिटेल्स उन्होंने बताया कि ये शायद हम लोग सब भी आशा करते हैं कि डिमा हासाओ में पहले जैसा ही जो फिर से रेलवे का जो रास्ता जो साफ हो।
And on to some other news now. Menstrual Hygiene Day was observed today at a special program by the Kamrup District Administration in Guwahati. A special program was held at the Guwahati Biotechnology Park at Amingao. Pride East Entertainment Private Limited CMD Riniki Bhuyan Sharma and popular Assamese actress Nishita Goswami attended the event. Girl students from several schools also attended the event that talked on the importance of menstrual hygiene for women. Take a look.
আজি ৱৰ্ল্ড মেনষ্ট্ৰুৱেল ডে আৰু আজি কামৰূপ জিলাত আজি এটা খুব সুন্দৰ প্ৰগ্ৰেম এটা আজি অনুষ্ঠিত কৰিছে। এইটো খুব দৰকাৰী বুলি মই এইটো কাৰণেই ভাবোঁ, কাৰণ আমাৰ যিটো পুৰণি মিথছ এণ্ড টেবুজখিনি আছে, যাৰ কাৰণে আমাৰ সৰু সৰু ল'ৰা ছোৱালীবিলাকে বহুত ছাফাৰ কৰি আছে। এই বুলিয়ে নহয়, কিন্তু ইয়াৰ লগত যিটো আমাৰ পৰম্পৰা চলি আহিছে সেইখিনিতো আমি কণ্টিনিউ কৰি গৈ থাকিব লাগিব, কিন্তু তাৰ লগত যিখিনি আমাৰ চাইণ্টিফিক ৰিজনছ সেইখিনি বুজাই দিলে বহুতখিনি যেতিয়া অলাগতিয়াল নিয়ম বা অলাগতিয়াল যিটো কষ্ট এজনী ছোৱালীয়ে পাব লাগে সেইখিনিৰ পৰা মুক্ত পাব বুলি এটা খুব সুন্দৰ আজি প্ৰগ্ৰেম। আৰু যিটো তেখেতসকলে কনভাৰ্চেশ্যন বুলি কৈছে, কাৰণ এইটো এদিনীয়া কথা ক'লে যোৱা বস্তু নহয়, তো কথাৰ থ্ৰুদি মানুহৰ লাহে লাহে চাইক'লজিকেলি লাহে লাহে মানুহক প্ৰস্তুত কৰা এটা খুব সুন্দৰ অনুষ্ঠিত হৈছে। ধন্যবাদ। মই আজি কামৰূপ প্ৰশাসনক মই ধন্যবাদ জনাইছোঁ, যি পদক্ষেপ হাতত লৈছে ডি চি ডাঙৰীয়াক, সেনাবকে ধৰি সকলোকে ধন্যবাদ জনাইছোঁ। বৰ সুন্দৰ এক প্ৰচেষ্টা তেওঁলোকে হাতত লৈছে। আজি ৱৰ্ল্ড মেনষ্ট্ৰুৰেল আৰু হাইজিন ডে'। আজিৰ দিনটোৱে নহয়, আচলতে প্ৰতিটো দিনে আমাৰ কাৰণে খুব গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ দিন ছোৱালীখিনিৰ কাৰণে, কাৰণ এই যিটো আমাৰ পিৰিয়ডছ হোৱাৰ যিটো মেনষ্ট্ৰুৰেল চাইকেলটো আমাৰ হয়, সেইটো সময়ত আচলতে ছোৱালীজনীৰ শৰীৰটোত আমি সকলোৱে জানো আৰু কৈও আহিছোঁ যে শৰীৰটোত ৰেষ্ট লাগে, কিন্তু তাৰ লগতে যিখিনি প্ৰথা আমাৰ চলাই আহিছে, এখন ঘৰৰ যিবোৰ নিয়ম, সেই নিয়মবিলাকে যদি ছোৱালীজনীক কষ্ট দিয়ে, আমনি দিয়ে, সেই ছোৱালীজনীৰ শৰীৰটোত যদি ৰেষ্ট নাপায়, তেনেহ'লে সেইখিনি ৰুলছ আৰু সেইখিনি ৰেগুলেশ্যন বা সেইখিনি প্ৰথা আঁতৰোৱাটো ভাল সমাজৰ পৰা।
And on to another big story now. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation ordered the DGCA to be imposed a penalty of rupees 5 lakh on Indigo Airlines. The penalty has been imposed based on the airline denying boarding to a specially abled child at Ranchi Airport on the 7th of May. Meanwhile, the DGCA in a statement said that a probe into the incident found that the handling of the specially abled child by the Indigo ground staff was deficient and ended up exacerbating the situation. The statement further mentioned that more compassionate handling of the situation would have smoothened the nerves and calmed the child. In view of this, the competent authority in the DGCA decided to impose a penalty of rupees 5 lakh on the airline under the provisions of the relevant aircraft rules. On to another big national focus now. A day after the Narcotics Control Bureau gave a clean chit to Bollywood actor Shah Rukh Khan's son Aryan Khan, Maharashtra Home Minister Dilip Walse Patil today demanded action against former NCB officer Sameer Wankhede. According to the Maharashtra Home Minister, if anyone is found falsely implicating an innocent person, then action should be taken against them. On Friday, the central government directed the competent authority to take appropriate action against Sameer Wankhede for conducting shoddy investigation into the cruise drug bust case involving Aryan Khan. The centre's action came soon after the NCB gave a clean chit to Aryan Khan and 5 others and has not filed any charge sheet against them, citing lack of evidence. The government has already taken action in the case of Sameer Wankhede's fake caste certificate case. The NCB on Friday filed a 6,000-page charge sheet against 14 accused in the cruise drug bust case, which excludes the name of 5 others, including Bollywood star Shah Rukh Khan's son Aryan Khan, who was earlier arrested in the case. Meanwhile, Wankhede refused to comment on the latest development, saying that he is not a part of this drug law enforcement agency anymore and will only give a written reply if asked about the matter. It needs to be mentioned here, last year in October, an NCB team busted an alleged drugs party on the Cordelia cruise ship, which was on its way to Goa at mid-sea. 8 persons were arrested, including Aryan Khan, along with other accused Arbaz Merchant and Munmun Dhamecha in the case.
न्यायालयाचा निर्णय आता आलेला आहे आणि त्याच्यामध्ये आर्यन खान यांच्यावर जे आरोप केले गेले होते त्याच्यामध्ये काही तथ्य आढळलं नाही आणि त्यामुळं चार्जशीटमध्ये त्यांचं नाव वगळलं गेलेलं आहे. मला असं वाटतं की केंद्राने सुद्धा याची दखल घेतलेली आहे आणि संबंधितांच्या विरुद्ध कारवाईची सूचना दिलेली आहे. मला असं वाटतं अशा चुकीच्या पद्धतीने एखाद्या निष्पाप व्यक्तीला अडकवण्याचा प्रयत्न जर कोणी केला तर त्याला शिक्षा झाली पाहिजे. ही भूमिका आमची सुद्धा राहील.
Shifting focus now, well, Nagaland's Andrea Kevichuza is not the only one who made her Bollywood debut in the Ayushmann Khurrana starrer Anek. But another youth from Assam has made it to the film industry by starring alongside the lead actors. We are talking about 17-year-old Parag Medhi, who hails from Morigaon in Assam. In fact, Parag can also be seen in the movie poster. Interestingly, Parag had become an internet sensation soon after a video of him working out under a bamboo shed had gone viral on social media. Soon after, he was spotted by the movie director Anurag Sinha's team, and this is how he got his break in the film industry. The movie, as such, is being seen as a life changer for Parag, who reportedly hails from a financially weak background.
বিকাশ দা লগতে পালোঁ আৰু মানে সি কণ্টেক্ট কৰিছিলে বিকাশ দলৈ চিনিয়ে পাইছিলে পেজৰ পৰাই নাম্বাৰ পাইছিলে সুশাংক দাদাই মাতিছিলে এনেকৈ পালোঁ অনলাইন অডিশ্যন হৈছিলে ভিডিঅ' ভাল পাল চাই তাৰপিছত মাতিলেও গুৱাহাটীলৈ গাড়ী আহিছে নিবলৈ তাৰপিছত আমি গুৱাহাটীলৈ গ'লোঁ তাৰপিছত লৈ গৈছে কাজিৰঙালৈ.
All right, we have a big breaking news coming in at this point in time, viewers. A Nagaland government spokesperson, Neba Krono, speaking exclusively to Northeast Live, said that the core committee's meeting with the NSCNIM leadership today was very positive. That's right, viewers. Krono said that the almost 4-hour-long talks were very fruitful. In a significant development, it was decided in the meeting that the core committee will move the government of India to request a NEDA convener and Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma to get involved in the ongoing process. According to Neba Krono, Himanta Biswa Sharma understands the issue very well and was involved in the issue from before, following the request of Home Minister Amit Shah. Kronu added that there are differences in the competencies as chalked out by former interlocutor R.N. Ravi and incumbent interlocutor as well as Government of India representative A.K. Mishra. So viewers, indeed a big breaking news coming in at this point in time as far as the Naga peace talks are concerned. Nagaland government spokesperson Neba Kronu, while speaking exclusively to your channel Northeast Live, has said that the core committee's meeting with the NSC and IM leadership today was very positive. Kronu said that the almost 4-hour-long meeting was indeed very fruitful. In a significant development, it was decided at the meeting that the core committee will move the Government of India to request NEDA convener and Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma to get involved in the ongoing process. And according to Neba Kronu, Himanta Biswa Sharma understands the issue very well and was involved in the issue from the beginning before following the request of Home Minister Amit Shah. Kronu added that there are differences in the competencies as chalked out by former interlocutor R.N. Ravi and incumbent interlocutor and Government of India representative A.K. Mishra.
Today we had more than 4 hours discussion.
Right.
And then the discussion went very well. We have, as I always used to say, we have come closer. And then, especially about today's discussion was very fruitful. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Kronu, the NSA and IM have reiterated once again that the flag in the constitution should be a part of the final solution. So, what did the core committee convey to the NSA and IM in today's meeting?
Whatever they have shared their opinion in what manner, what it have to go. So these the competencies that we want to tell to the government of India. But here, one thing new is that we have decided to replace our Himanta Biswa Sharma, who is Northeast Democratic Alliance convener.
Right.
Yeah, it is always good that someone can speak for both the parties. Yeah. So this is the only thing. Yeah.
So, Mr. Kronu, are you saying that the NSA and IM is still very firm on the demand for a flag and constitution and they do not accept the proposal of the government of India?
They had discussed earlier with R.N. Ravi and now with the new interlocutor A.K. Mishra. But there are some differences between the new the competencies of the R.N. Ravi and then this Mishra. So I think it's time for them to revisit both the competencies and then see what can be done. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Kronu, you had mentioned that that the state will be consulting the NEDA convener. So, in what kind of manner the role that is to be played by the NEDA convener in this Naga peace talks?
Actually, he was involved from before, as requested by Union Home Minister Amit Shah. So he knows the issues. So it is always better that all hands will be better, and it will be easier to understand the issues also.
Mr. Kronu, also what we are made to understand is that the NSA and IM is still very firm on its core demands for a separate flag and a constitution. So can we say that the NSA and IM rejects the proposal of the government of India as of now?
They need to have more discussion. That is why they had a general meeting on 31st. That is what we have heard. So we will come to know after that. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you.
And shifting focus now. Amidst the ongoing crisis situation in Sri Lanka and India's relentless bid to stand by its neighboring country, Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe thanked India for its support during the crisis. In a series of tweets, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe thanked India over the move to set up a foreign aid consortium in league with Japan. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Wickremesinghe, who recently took charge, also said that he spoke to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and expressed their country's appreciation. Notably, the Sri Lankan Prime Minister's appreciation came on the same day when India donated 25 tons of drugs and other medical supplies valued at close to 260 million Sri Lankan rupees. Sri Lanka is facing
and one of India's best known economist, I would say internationally acclaimed economist. Welcome to my show, Sanjeev Sanyal.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be on your show.
Actually, you came for a conclave, Act East through Northeast.